Hi, and welcome to Chic West Podcast, a radio show that will help you not only connect to your power, body, beauty, voice, and art that is your life, but truly embody it. I'm your host, Estelle Thomson. The conversation are inspired from subject matters brought forward in my Women's Circle Guide to Magic Life community. My hope is that these conversations educate and uplift and also aim at making you feel whole and not perfect. Thanks for being here. The dance of my becoming. The choice to no longer abandon myself became the core of my liberation. Melissa Kaplan. Just like a lot of little girls in rural French Quebec, I started dancing on Saturday mornings when I was 7 or 8. The room was full of light pink leotards and white tights. I remember looking in the mirror and having fun, feeling like a princess. I also remember wanting to be a perfect good girl even then. Do the moves just right, keep smiling, and not step on my own 2 feet. I kept dancing well into my early grades and even went to summer dance camp where I felt the safest, since all around me were little girls who, like me, loved to express themselves through dance. Fast forward to grade 9 and 10 when I sought out a Quebec City modern dance company. My teacher was a tall, dark, long haired, graceful lady who smoked like a chimney. I loved dancing so much. I would walk or bus to my class every Wednesday night. I remember hiding my dance classes from my group of friends because in the late 90s, any evidence of being girly or artistic was shamed, laughed at, and even ridiculed. At dance on those school nights, I remember feeling like I didn't really fit in, but the class was eclectic enough that I got to explore modern dance techniques and ultimately always came out of class feeling peaceful and invigorated. With my chin higher and my eyes sparkling, flushed from the aliveness of having moved my body in such a freeing way. In theater school, I had 3 straight years of intense movement classes where we learned to express the full spectrum of human emotions. Out of all my classes in the professional theater program, movement was my favorite because it wasn't scripted. I could emote and evoke, but with my body. It was show me with your body, rage, electricity, rain, happiness, courage. Show me, dance it, walk it. Here, I could be too much, not make sense, and roll around on the ground and believe myself to be weak or strong. It was all practice. And most importantly, it was all play. The fire of a dragon had been born. Ultimately, theater school broke me, but in the sense that at the time, being only 19, I wasn't anchored in my fiery integrity. I didn't know who I was. I felt hijacked by every little comment about my appearance. And when you're typecast for every role, it's really hard not to take it personally. I was coping with a crippling eating disorder from 11 to 19 that trickled well into my early 20s and left me a ghost of myself. Yoga scooped me up in and around that period of my life, my first of many dark nights of the soul. But looking back, 19 feels really significant, and I wasn't surprised when I read my spiritual astrologer Danielle Beinstein wrote, 19 is a significant year in astrology, bringing our first North Node return, a calling forward, the dragon's head, as they call it, illuminating our paths. In a way, 19 was the first dark episode of my life, which illuminated my path in yoga and dance. In the Guide to a Magic Life deck, the Princess Dragon Oracle comes to mind. The Princess Dragon is a call to honor fear like you would a princess, that perhaps princess and dragons are one and the same. It's literally the gift of fear and asks that you bow, wink, laugh, love your fears. After all, fear's armor can be broken by seeing it for the illusion aka the gift that it is. At 19, I was so fearful of everything, one of them being my unknown future, my body, what others would think of me. So I guarded and I hid, and that was already so completely exhausting. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love. Rainer Maria Rilke. Emerging as my own princess dragon took me the better part of 20 years to titrate my fears of being back in that light pink leotard, wanting to do everything perfect and just right. Yoga found me at my most tender, my most broken. Looking back, it's in the crazy hot Bikram's yoga room on 4th Street in Victoria, BC, that I first saw myself just as myself. On those carpeted floors where I sweated my guts out for 90 minutes almost every day. In a flash, I glanced at that reflection in the mirror, and there she was. I wouldn't say I liked what I was seeing, but at least I wasn't repulsed, disgusted, or grossed out. I had been living in a one-bedroom studio apartment, and it's really in Victoria that I started to individuate, tune into my power. It's in this apartment that I spend my university loan money on canvases and starting painting practice, a love story that even at now at 43 is really just beginning. It's in this apartment that I tried out every clothing style possible, that I learned to cook for myself, went on long ocean walks, and also gave myself what I needed and wanted. It's in this apartment that I got a glimpse of what it looked like to not abandon myself.
Hey, sparkly beings! Pausing this heart opening podcast to let you know that fall is bustling at the Estelle Thomson studio. We're diving into the season with weekly yoga and dance to keep your body moving and your soul glowing. Friday Cowbay Hall immersions, longer, deeper, juicier. So many workshops! Yes, I am yelling with excitement. So get cozy, get curious, and come play. Let's make this fall unforgettable. You can register at EstelleThompson.com. Secure your spot today.
But back to yoga and dance. I believe we are all born yogis, dancers, and creatives. Since becoming a yoga teacher in 2005 and starting to teach in my community in 2010, I've witnessed women who are completely alienated from their spontaneity and creativity, cut off from their body's instincts and intuition. Women who cannot bear seeing themselves in pictures and mirrors or connect to their pleasure centers. Women that are completely afraid of playing, being silly, and messing up. Women who do not permit themselves to have needs, wants, and desires. Women who have abandoned themselves for the sake of being good, perfect little girls. I know these women because these women are me. What's more is that spaciousness, slowness, and intimacy are not valued. Our modern culture gets everything quickly and effortlessly. Everyone wants endgames, a quick fix, an app appeal. We have highly intellectual, highly functional women with tons of resources living in a cage of their own making. But if I ask them a simple questions like, how do you tend to your heart? Where is home inside yourself? Where do you feel trust in your body? They look at me like I'm a Martian. It seems safer to be guarded, hidden, lukewarm than feeling their hearts, having a semblance of a voice, a unique expression, a life that lights them up, being spontaneous and alive. But at what cost are we hiding? Are we guarding? Are we still being good little girls? And for who? Every woman is complex and nuanced, of course, but one of the biggest reasons I think women feel disconnected, I'm including myself here, by the way, is that they have equated feeling with weakness, shame, and social death. I seriously don't think I wanted to be an actress. Deep down, I just wanted a safe place to feel my feelings. And I thought theater school would be the answer. But Since it feels like death, I've resisted feeling at all costs. Feeling brings me back to being in a light pink leotard or a powerless teenager who had to hide what she loved most, dancing, for the sake of basic social survival. Yes, survival. Like if I felt something, if I take off the mask, if I let people know who I really am, I will die. Moreover, I've witnessed women who think they should sacrifice their own needs and wants for the greater goods of their family. I see mom who are slaves to their children. All they talk about is their children. Women who bring victim consciousness into every area of their lives. Even women that have years of spiritual work behind them have dabbled in every therapeutic outlet possible and still are resisting shadow work, breathing in unwanted parts. It's deluxe spiritual bypassing at the cost of our emotional health, at the cost of our evolutions. Like the author Jennifer Pasteloff coined, it's like being constipated, but with emotions. It feels awful. I don't know. It's all just so tragic. Yoga and dance rewrote the stories I had in my head. By the way, all of them untrue, things that would be on loop. I'm responsible for my family's happiness. I have to sacrifice my wants for my kids to be a good mother. I can't possibly live my dreams. That's selfish. Yoga and dance also soften my body in its rigidity to want life to be a certain way, to control every area of my life. Finally, yoga and dance repeatedly helps me not to take myself too seriously, play and mess up. Yoga and dance supports making new connections to my nervous system fight or flight response, and in that way enables me to keep my heart open in the face of the unknown. Looking back, I'm so grateful to have had these dark times and existential crises in my early years, living away from my family of origin, experimenting with rituals, yoga traditions, and reading spiritual and psychological books like The Artist's Way by Joy Cameron and Yoga and the Quest of the True Self by Stephen Cope. When my 2.5-year-old son died tragically when I was 33, thank heavens I had already had a few dark nights of the soul under my belt to know immediately, even in its shock, that this monumental loss would be the slow soul work of my life. Because emerging as my Princess Dagon and befriending my fear and my grief took time, tears, laughter, retreats, space for integration and community. Community was key, but that's for another Substack. In yoga, I found discipline, the potency of repetition, devotion, and grace. I found my breath as a bitch boss. The breath is such a mystical witch, you know? When sitting with our aliveness, our breath, we can't help but sit with our death, symbolic or not so symbolic too. Feeling the grief of my son Tommy, for example, over and over again really has initiated me and scratched that, catapulted me into a world that speaks no words, but where my body becomes poetry, song, and art. This makes sense when you know that the core genius of yoga and dance lies in the recognition of the critical role of the body. The body is the entrance of our personal and soul development, not the mind, not the ego, not the rational, not the story, the body. The yoga tradition understands that the doorway to our more delicate and subtle landscape interiors is the physical body. Conscious dance knows this as well. In dance, I found freedom, intuition, and bliss. I slowly found my way back to it through aerial yoga, a yoga practice supported by a hammock suspended from the ceiling. After my son Tommy passed away, I began merging yoga with sacred symbol as a way to more deeply embody my practice. Aerial yoga, in particular, became the direct expression of the butterfly, a sacred symbol of death and rebirth that took on profound meaning for me. Aerial yoga helped lift me literally out of the box of movement repertoire I had been living in and brought the old dance rhythm out of me. Because when I truly allowed myself to sit on the mat and let grief move through me, the energies were so wild and untamed, they would naturally rise into shaking and dancing for the release. In those early days, my practice often began with a typical power vinyasa flow and then would unravel into spontaneous shaking, allowing the raw spiral of grief to move through me. As a natural progression in my personal practice and teaching, I started creating spaces where women could circle. Guide to a Magic Life community was born out of my own need to have a place where my breath, my life, my movement, my body, and my creativity, what needs out of me, could land. Land. I know we have all kinds of social connections, but what I needed was a place where somebody truly listened to me without wanting to fix, improve, or worse, give me advice or self present. Women's circles have become a fundamental part of all my classes, workshops, and programs. Out of this became the vision of a dancing women's circle. I started teaching women dancing in a circle anchored with sacred symbol and goddess studies. In my 2023 Italy retreat, and just last month at my 2025 Embodied Goddess retreat in Greece, proved to be the birth of the Sparkly Dance Collective. Last year, I went to Portugal for a dance retreat to study under Miriam Peretz in sacred circle dance, and my body and heart was blown open. Miriam's teaching is very technical, rigorous, and yet she's all heart. I often think of my constellation of student in a circle as having a one heart, a community heart that pulses, breathes, and has a charge. I've already been teaching movement exploration and dance that year, but Miriam's method solidified my desire to bring sacred circle dance to my community in a way that was personal and meaningful. Basically, amalgamating everything I learned and embodied since my early theater days at 19. As I prepare to launch Radiance Dance and the Sparkly Dance Collective this fall, I can't help but think of that little girl in the pink leotard and the rebellious theater kid I became. It feels like I've come full circle, dancing my own becoming. I'm no longer trying to illuminate my path. I'm living it, dancing it, and figuring out as I go. I've learned to befriend not only my grief, but also my fears. To the broken-hearted 19-year-old I want to say there are safe spaces to express your joy and your rage without needing to explain, justify, without shame. There are places where your feelings aren't silenced, but celebrated. Places where soul expression, wild creativity, and deep healing collides. Where even the most stubborn emotions melt when you dance them out. These are the spaces I've created for myself and for women ready to claim the parts they thought were lost. Places where you can be silly, messy, sexy, sacred. Where perfection isn't required. Where yoga and dance rekindle the fire of your aliveness. I believe in this because I live it. I believe in it because I made it. And I want you to come dance your way home too, as the princess dragon you've always been. Cheering on all of you, Princess Dragon out there. Let's get dancing. Love you so much. Bye.
This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.